And the collaboration we're going to have going forward.
No better way to communicate to your audience.
How do we grow strategically now that we've gotten the right path forward? Hey, everybody. Happy Friday. Hope you guys are doing awesome. Welcome to Agents Who Win, our little Facebook group to help agents win. And I am with an agent now who's won her first year in the industry, Brandi Tropf. I appreciate you jumping on today to talk about success as a new agent. It's our September series, and I really appreciate you jumping in. When I'm looking for agents, I want to see people who are winning. And when I asked for an agent to come in, you can't. Dan Rojas just said, "Oh my God, you got to talk to Brandi because she's amazing." She said icon status her first year, which is like people try to get there. So let's dive in. Let's learn about what you have going on. Tell me about yourself, your background, and then we'll dive into some Q&A here.
Great. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me here. It's a huge honor for me to be here, especially for Dan to refer me. There's tons of agents that are in our office, and so I'm just, really flattered to have been chosen for this.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you're here.
So a little bit about me. I'm a single mom. I have 7 children. 3 of them are grown. 4 of them are still at home. Previously, I owned a business covering the whole state of Florida. I would inspect vehicles for different dealers and put them on an online auction. So I did that for about 17 years.
Wow.
And covered the whole state. So that's why I like to do different MLSs. I love traveling, and actually I love working now.
Well, you've got a lot of mouths to feed. So let's rephrase your intro. You don't have 7 kids. You have 7 buyer's agents.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, my son wants to join, so
there's your future team right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm second generation real estate, and I never worked with my mom or dad in real estate. My whole family's in the business. But if I would have transitioned into the residential side when they were still doing it, then I probably would have worked alongside them. Because my stepdad and I were a team for a little bit before he transitioned to work with my mom back in the timeshare side. But I grew up in this business. I loved it. And I never thought I would be doing this. And here I am 21 years later, still selling. So
it's addictive.
It is. It's fun. I mean, you're helping people buy an asset that they love. And, I love going into houses, not because I watched HGTV or anything. HGTV wasn't around when I was getting into real estate. But I spent my first time just investing in real estate and playing with the houses and remodeling and fixing them up and renting them. And so that got addicting. Now it's like when I'm showing houses, I'm like telling people I'm spending their money doing renovations.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, you guys don't have 40 grand to knock your kitchen down. Never mind. Those cabinets look great,
Yeah, I agree. I love looking at new homes. I get excited and sometimes not so excited, but
you look at potential of properties, and that's what I love doing with the people and trying to open up their vision and see what's there. Exactly. So you got into real estate. What was, coming out of a 17-year career doing the inspection stuff, doing the entire state, I could see wanting to get more localized just because, you're all over the state, especially with the kids in the family. But what got you into real estate?
Well, actually, I've always wanted to flip properties. And so my goal was just to do 3 transactions a year. And I just wanted to represent myself and put it on the MLS. And that was it. That's why I got my real estate license. I've been wanting to get it for over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Had the opportunity long time ago for, someone to send me and pay for the classes for me. And I never did it. And I always thought, I don't want to sell residential. I just want to do the wholesale side. But just like you said, I love helping people. It's not just about a transaction. It's, it's their home. And sometimes it's their forever home.
Yeah.
And that's huge to me.
And that's like when I was in real estate school, I did the investment side, wholesaling and flipping and renting and all that stuff before I got in the industry. And so I did that for 6 years. And the guy first asked the teacher, "Hey, who in here is an investor?" We all, 4 or 5 of us raised our hand. "Okay, you guys need to leave because you don't want your license if you're going to be in the investment side because the liabilities and things you can and cannot do and stuff." I stuck in because I was getting out of the investment side because I wanted to get into, the residential, like the resale side, not to represent myself because I don't mind paying someone else to do the work. I wanted to just concentrate on the real estate. or on the investments, let someone else do the sales side. Because I'm still an emotional attachment to it when it comes down to the investment, where it's like, all right, you deal with the other agent. I want to just do what I'm good at. But so we're flipping the script of let's get out of the investment and get into residential. So I stuck with it, obviously, passed the test, and luckily on the first time, and got full blown into the sales side. So what you got your license what, a little over a year ago, 2 years ago?
1 year ago, July 13th.
Perfect. So you're like literally a year and 14 months in. Now, one thing that stands out is you hit icon status your first year, which based on our Orlando average is around, our average is around 325 to 350 a deal for sales price. And so that's around 30 plus deals a year to hit icon status with eXp Realty. And so coming out the gates, normally agents in their first year are going to sell, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 homes and then start to build their momentum. How did you get to, and you're an individual agent, you're not on a team. So I want to be clear there with everybody. This is not someone who's being fed leads by a team leader. How did you get into success so fast?
Well, honestly, it just kind of happened that way. I went to every training and every class available. I mean, I put my kids in daycare, my youngest 2 kids in daycare, and was spending a ridiculous amount when I wasn't making any money, just to get all of the training I could. I was at the office every chance that I could, and I surrounded myself around other successful people and just absorbed all of their tips and their information. The great thing about this industry is there's a lot of agents that want to share their success. And so I just took advantage of that. And, I followed through with the people. I told everybody that I was in real estate and just reached out to people. And then I just started getting referrals based off of customer service. I would say that customer service is the number one thing. You have to, under promise and over deliver, and, just handhold every single one of them. Even if they've done 20 transactions, you have to handhold every single one of them.
Right. So the, hand-holding all of them, I mean, that's a lot of work. Do you have a TC doing the work as well?
I just hired a TC. Thankfully, I should have hired her a long time ago. So I'm hoping to, that's going to allow me to do double the transactions this year.
Now, do you have someone full-time on staff, or are you doing a paper transaction?
I'm just doing paper transaction.
So you're going to want to get to a point, as you stated, you want to, build the team because you're working multiple markets.
Yes.
Get somebody on staff that can help you take away, that's concentrating just on your stuff. Because that 3 to 4 deals a month, that's good to have someone that's working your stuff there. You want them to do some social media marketing, you want them to do some, and just not like full on marketing, because it takes a special person to handle it, but posting for you and then working on your transactions wholly, where you hand it over and it's all they do and you don't touch the transaction. That's like where you want to be with the TC. That'll alleviate so much time for you.
I absolutely agree. That's actually my next step, is to hire someone that can, come on board as my assistant to handle, not just real estate, but just day-to-day things, making appointments for the vet or the doctor, or, something. I just need someone to fulfill that, because it's hard to go at this pace and be complete in every area of your life.
Right.
And so I need to sub out what I can sub out.
Right. So what, and that's the biggest thing is your cost dollar average, where is your time most valuable? Your time most valuable is out with the clients selling houses, not doing social media postings, not or I would say faxing. I'm going to age myself. Emailing out the contracts, checking up on appraisals and stuff. That is not where your money's made. Your money's made out on the streets.
Right.
What, so getting into 31 deals from the time you got your license, what was how long did it take you to get to your first sale?
Well, my first contract I landed within my first 30 days.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it was a new construction, so it wasn't complete for a couple of months.
Hey, it's still paycheck awaiting.
Yes, that's so true. And so I, thankfully had some credit cards that I could use until I got my first couple of paychecks. I racked those up pretty good. And then just, I've been in sales for a long time, and it's
Right.
very true what they say that the production that you do today, you're actually going to see the rewards in about 90 days. And it's
Yep.
true. And so when you keep going every single day, eventually when it all comes back to fruition, then it just kind of rolls and smooth sailing.
So your next deal you had, how long was that one?
That one was, oh gosh. Well, my first closing was a couple of months out, like I said, and then my next one that actually closed was a couple of weeks after that.
Okay.
So
a
couple months. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what were those lead sources that you had going on there?
That was Facebook. Both of those were Facebook, actually.
Were they just from your sphere or just from posting?
Not at all from my sphere, just going into different Facebook groups. And I mean, you'd be amazed. Everyone's trying to move to Florida, it seems. So, I was just paying attention and, striking up a conversation and, just providing knowledge.
Yeah.
It's not about really selling yourself. It's just about what can I give to this client to make them make a good decision.
So were those, and not to pinpoint, were those real estate Facebook groups or were those like community groups that people were chiming in on?
Community groups.
Okay. So note, we're not looking at realtor referrals. We're looking at community groups. And
Yes.
most of the time when someone says I'm looking for a realtor, they're always like, pick me, pick me, pick me, yeah. DMing them a bunch of information about themselves, not starting a conversation with the person. Mm-hmm. Don't have the conversation in the chat, but say, hey, I'm sending you a PM, would love to learn more about what you're looking for and mm-hmm. looking to do, and then bring the conversation to the DM or a phone call.
Right.
To keep it off of there. And you're not saying pick me, you're just saying, hey, let me help you with some education, and then you've created the relationship.
Exactly. I always try to answer a little bit of their question of what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Then I take it offline from there. Yeah. Because that whoever's saying pick me, there's probably 10 times that amount in their DMs. So
yeah,
you want to try to stand out a little bit and give them information. That way they feel like their time isn't wasted just by responding to me and me not being able to provide that to them.
Gotcha. And that's the best thing, because it's like, when I go in the Facebook groups, if I don't see conversations started, I mean, once you see 50 comments, I step aside. I'm like, there's too many. You got to get in there in the beginning. Mm-hmm. You got to pay attention to Facebook, not to sit on social media all day,
right?
But pick out your top groups, and those will put notifications to you of where you're going to see the most attention, and you'll get notified more often of when things are coming. Hold on one second. Okay. With lack of internet at our office, I've got to get the team something real quick.
Sure.
Paste. Dropbox done. Okay, cool. So out of your how many deals did you close your first year?
34, I believe.
Perfect. And of those 34, and you work multiple markets, and we talked about that beforehand, but mm-hmm. Why stretching yourself so thin? And I know you've got some sphere in the other area, but it seems like you're going even further south than that.
Mm-hmm. Well, because of my previous position, I knew a lot about every county in Florida, travel time. I also used to homeschool my children. They're all in school now.
Yeah.
This is actually the first year that they're all in school that I don't have a baby at home, but, in 27 years.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So, when I homeschooled, I knew different areas for, kids activities and different, I know every YMCA location in the state of Florida. So it just kind of made sense when people were asking about certain areas, I could honestly answer them and tell them I knew about the area, and I knew if it was a family, oriented place, or if it had a different vibe. And the reason why I spread myself so thin is because my home base is Vero Beach, and my goal is to move back there. However, my older children do live in Orlando, and so I'll, still be here very often. And, the drive to there is about an hour and a half. So I have a lot of different counties, in the middle. So I might as well make the most of it.
It's funny because when I get a request for somebody in Kissimmee, and then we get a request for somebody in Oviedo, and Kissimmee could be an hour or it could be an hour and a half. Depends how deep you're going into Kissimmee. And we're up in Altamont Springs, so we're and then if someone says I want to look at something in Oviedo, I'm like, I would almost rather drive to Kissimmee because it's all highway versus stop and go. That 45-minute ride to Oviedo could end up turning into an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So,
well, I'm right by the airport, so I'm so convenient to everything.
Yeah.
So
well,
everyone laughs because they say, "How far are you from something?" I'm like, 30 minutes. I'm literally 30 minutes from everything, from the beach to Disney, everything.
It is because you've got the highway system. You position yourself correctly to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So, what are you dove into a lot of trainings as well? What were the trainings that you were diving into that helped push your success?
Well, the one thing I would have to say for new agents coming on board is know your contract.
Yeah.
Knowing your contract just helps you be able to provide the best deal. So it was a lot of, logistics like that. Also talking to people. I mean, some people would think, well, you probably don't have a problem talking to people, but everyone needs a refresher course on that. Let's see, social media, how to post things, to train on that, different marketing, avenues. Again, I got into this wanting to be on the wholesale side, wanting to represent myself now. And you had mentioned that you would want someone else to represent you. I totally agree. Now that I know all the paperwork behind it, nope, I do not. New goals. I would not represent myself right now.
Well, you take the emotions out of it. Like we're looking at potentially doing something, and it's the same thing where it does become an emotional attachment to the house you're selling, the house you're buying. And what do you mean that AC is 12 years old and you think it's the end of its useful life? That thing works fine. You start to get in your seller's shoes, and on the buy side, no big deal. On the sell side, it's a little bit different story. You start getting, I just had an invest property we sold 2 years ago, and it was fortunately an agent on my team who sold it, and I was getting, rebutting with her every time she'd ask something instead of trying to work something out. I'm like, wait, I need to work this out because it's like it's an agent on our team. I want to make sure that there's still a good relationship after the fact. And obviously, it didn't go forward. We ended up selling to somebody else because of a bad appraisal, and the buyers didn't want to come up. And of course, you put it back on the market, and you get the appraisal that you were looking for from a different lender.
Right. Exactly.
So.
And it's different tips like that helps with going to the trainings.
Yeah.
It's things like that you learn just in common conversation, that it might not be a class about it, but you might hear two agents talking about it and then you're like, oh, and it makes sense.
Yep. And that's the big thing is conversate with more people. If you go into an office, you're going to learn a lot more than you are just sitting at home. And, you and I are both at the 𝐓𝐡𝐞. It's a cloud-based brokerage, but we both have brick and mortar offices that we go to. That I have one in Altamont. You work at the one in downtown. So you have an office you're going to on a regular basis, whether you're taking classes online or you're taking, classes in the office. And I know the downtown office has Tuesday and Thursday classes. So you don't, what's that?
They have Fridays as well. And they do different things throughout. So
yeah, and it's not like, okay, every Tuesday we're talking about social media, every Thursday we're doing this. It is literally, if you look at the monthly calendar, a different topic every day of the week or whatever days you're doing classes. Right. And so you don't have anything going on, educate, because the minute you get busy, what won't you have? Time to educate. And the more you can educate, the more you can do things. I had a new agent recently say to me that we were having some conversation about something, and she's like, I don't need to script because I don't want to sound like a robot, and I'm better than that. And I'm like, you've sold 5 homes in your 3 years as a realtor. The idea is not to script, it's to learn the lingo. Right. And it's like, I don't need to show up for that. I'm like, well, it means you should be coming to learn and have the education, because I'm 21 years in, I'm still trying to go to education classes on how to do buyer representation. Because guess what I learned on a class that I just went to on buyer education? How to have that consultation. So then what can I do is go back to my team and teach it and also learn some education from it.
Right.
So that's smart. I mean, I really appreciate you saying that, because that's a big thing for agents out there. It's like you need to educate as much as you have.
Absolutely. And it's about being in the supportive environment as well. The community that you're around, as in anything, who you hang around, that's who you're going to become. And you want to be around positive people, agents that are constantly being innovative in their marketing strategies, writing their contracts, knowing how to write a strong contract, knowing how to do a strong appraisal, knowing how to disagree with an appraisal, all those things that they don't teach you in real estate school, I don't even remember what my test was about.
Well, it's because you only need to know about 10% of it.
Yeah.
It's like college. They teach you how to get a letter and get a certificate. And then when you're done,
Yeah.
have fun,
Yeah.
or leave it to somebody else in the real world.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they need to make you, once you pass the state test, go out and take the 45-hour continuing ed right away before you actually go do stuff, because it's, not to make people get back into more education, but I think you need to learn how to run a business. And this is the cheapest business opportunity you can get into to make the most amount of money possible.
Yeah.
And people are dumping $5,000, $10,000 just getting in, learning, buying signs, all this stuff. And then they're like, what's next? And if they don't have a plan of action or a business plan in place, they're not going to go forward and try and figure things out.
Yeah, so, I would actually suggest to not do that. Borrow signs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When I got into credit card debt, it was buying leads. It wasn't buying signs.
Yeah.
Or, lock boxes or anything like that. There's plenty of agents that I could borrow from, and I did borrow from. I used other people's open houses when I didn't have my own listings, and I got leads from there. Leads are the most important thing that you can put your money into. Obviously, you need business cards. You need, some nice, outfits to wear, some professional outfits, but don't go above and beyond. I mean, who cares if you wear the same outfit, 3 days a week? You're only going to see these people for 30 days and then move on.
Yeah, they're not going to know the difference. So that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
We'll get a comment up here. Always need to learn and share. Awesome. One of our comments is always need to learn and share, and that's the biggest thing. Thank you, Theodore.
Yes.
So what are some tips you can offer new agents that are getting their license right now, or agents that are, struggling, that are a year or two in?
I would say, again, find an office to go to, surround yourself with the community, spend your time wisely, but you do want to surround yourself around other agents that are doing a lot of transactions, and they can tell you how they're getting their leads. If you are a year or two in and you don't have the leads coming in, or you're not meeting your goals, join a team. Learn how to do things start to finish. Maybe you can find something there that you're not doing now. But education would be the top thing. Do not spend a whole lot of money on things that you don't need right now. Spend your money on, leads, and spend your time on education, and go to every event that you can.
So, one of the things you mentioned was buying leads. Did you go to a class that talked to you about like what's the best lead to buy? Or I don't want to call them leads, like more up like opportunities, but how to follow up with those leads as well?
Yeah, follow up is the thing. I mean, don't even spend your money on them if you're not going to follow up. You have to get a good system, and sometimes you're not going to know. Some people get stuck in having the right system, and then they never move forward.
Right.
It's one of those things that you just kind of have to figure out your own system. You might have something that someone told you, and it may work great for them, but horrible for you and your schedule. So don't get stuck on that. Just go with whatever feels right to you. If you can't respond to leads till 8, 9 o'clock at night, then do that. If you respond to them at 6 o'clock in the morning, then do that. You're going to find your own niche. You're going to find the way that's going to work for you, and just take that and go. Don't worry about what other people, have going on. But definitely follow up with them a couple times a week until you are in contract, and then you have your TC follow up with them.
Yeah. And it's stay in check with even if you have a TC, it's still you want to stay in touch with the client, because they're the referral source. They're going to remember your TC more than you. But I'm an advocate of TCs because I've had one for the last 10 years, and saves me so much time. Allows me to go out and not work on files at 8 o'clock at night. I saved a post somebody did earlier that I want to copy and paste about, if you are a new agent, you want to make $150,000 a year based on a 40-hour work week, it's about $72 an hour. So while you're posting your not putting your open house signs up while you're making phone calls on your transactions you're working on. That's $25 an hour, so you're losing $50 an hour. While you're posting on social media, that's $15 an hour work. You're losing $60 an hour. So find people to do that for you. I mean, heck, the virtual assistants are awesome with that stuff. That are $4 to $6 an hour.
You can get a teenager to do it.
Yeah,
social media. I mean, really,
I mean, you have a whole staff on hand already. So
yeah, I know, like child labor law over here.
Yeah, right. It's not minimum wage. It's, do you want to have dinner tonight?
Exactly. This is your allowance.
Leverage where you can, because your time is more valuable on the street or in education and learning. While you're out doing all this TC work, you could be learning about, how to build a system for a TC system, TC, to bring one on. You could be learning about this, and you don't need to be doing it at 8, 9 o'clock at night. We want to have a life as well.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I kind of laugh at the word balance because sometimes my life does not look like it has balance. But, the old saying, play hard, work hard.
Yep.
Always done that. But you do need to have some time where you're not answering your phone.
Yes.
Very hard. Yeah. It's very hard because, you always want to be there for people. But, my transaction coordinator, that's freed up a lot of my time. I'm actually going to 2 birthday parties this weekend with my daughter. So.
Perfect. So what was, let's talk about TCs and people who want to find one. How did you find your TC that you picked up?
Well, actually the person who got me into, not into real estate, but into the brokerage, she recommended one to me. She had trained one and it's her neighbor and
perfect.
Not great. Yeah.
So it's basically a referral. What do you have them doing for you, being that they're on a pay per transaction TC?
They're calling the lenders, getting updates with the status of the loan, with the status of the appraisal. She's reminding me when the inspection periods are ending, so that if there's anything that we need to clean up before it's official, I have all of that set. Whereas before I was setting that all in my calendar, and it was just constant. When you're closing 7-8 deals a month, it's not where I want to be this coming year, but it was still quite a lot, and it's hard to schedule all that in. She keeps track of all of the dates, all the loan contingency dates. She lets me know when the EMDs come in. She is the biggest thing and the most tedious thing. I don't know why I hated doing this, but finding out all the vendor information for like utilities. She does that for me. So I love that.
It's funny that you have to that's tedious, because it's like, well, it's either Duke or Florida Power, but then it's like the water companies. Is it county? Is it city? Is it?
I'm in so many different markets though, and it's so different.
Well, it's true, yeah.
And like 𝐓𝐸𝐻, learning experience, 𝐓𝐸𝐻 has a whole different process for setting up water than Orange County does.
Yes.
So, she takes care of all that for me. I don't have to worry about that anymore.
And it's getting down to, getting it to the client so they know what they need to do. And it's reminding them that they need to turn the power on 24 hours in advance, because the buyer or the seller is turning that power off day of closing. And it might be off first thing in the morning. Technically, it should be on for closing, but it's going to be off. And guess what you're going to have is no power later when you go to move in.
Especially if you're moving in on a Friday.
Oh, that's
not good. Yep. Well, and it's just another form of customer service. And honestly, anyone who wants to be successful, they really need to, tune in their skills for customer service, because it really is all about them. It's just about, like I said, it's not about the transaction. It's for them. This could be their forever home. Most people don't, buy 10 and 20 homes in their lifetime. They buy 1, 2, maybe 3. Military, they're in a lot of different homes.
Yeah, they're 20 to 30.
Yeah, it's very exciting, representing a VA buyer, because they've been in so many homes that when they're finally in that one home that's theirs, that I get goosebumps even thinking about it, because it's so rewarding.
Yeah. Well, no, it's like when they definitely get into something, especially in this market right now with VA financing, accepted too for them. and they're trying to get here. They're trying to buy. They're trying to, it's finance as good as everything else. It's just a matter of really who's on the other side.
Well, and that's the thing too, so you talk a lot about, having a transaction coordinator on your team, but actually having a good lender on your team I mean, honestly, I have an excellent lender on my team, and I can send anyone to him and he follows up with them for me. That he's been huge in my success. He really has. And he's given me information that I didn't learn at school, or maybe people aren't talking about it at the class. Everyone's so afraid of VA loans. And really, when you talk to your lender, VA loans are solid. There's nothing wrong with accepting a VA contract. As long as, the appraisal comes through, you're good.
Yep.
And I never knew that until my lender told me.
You'd be surprised. I mean, even though they're buying it no money down, it doesn't mean that they don't have money. It just means that they can get financing without putting money down and moving forward.
And they should use it. Yeah. They have every right. They earned it.
Yeah, exactly.
And FHA too. Everyone's afraid of FHA. And, I'm still in my first home that I bought, and it was FHA. And thank goodness, the market was pretty crazy when I bought the house, but thank goodness someone took a chance on me.
Right.
And I had an awesome realtor.
Well, and I would say I had one too. It was myself.
No, this was 11 years ago. So
that's cool. What's funny is one of our team members or our partners, he got his license, I don't know, 15 years ago, and the realtor who sold him his first house is now actually looking at joining his team, and that was 20 something years ago.
That's awesome.
Doesn't matter how long they've been in the business. They may be on a transition phase out or whatever, but it's like, hey man, we're here to work together. And they kept in touch over the 20 years that they've been doing stuff. And you think, well, hey, your competition, I don't want to talk to you no more. But no, let's still keep in touch, because there may be an opportunity to work together again. And ironically, he's now joining his team versus him joining the other team.
You just never know. And it's first of all, I love this industry because it changes.
Yeah.
And just only 1 year in, I can see all the differences that it's changed just from when I first got in. Another thing, one of my best friends in California, he's a realtor, and his parents are also realtors. They're brokers. And he told me when I got my license, Brandi, it's a team effort. They are not your competition. They are in this with you, and to help you guys have the same goal, to get the deal done. And honestly, I've won a lot of contracts that way, a lot of offers on multiple offer situations, is because the agent felt like they could actually work with me, and that I, was responsive, and, I wanted to be on their team, not so much be against them and have it all my way. You have to have logic in there. And, some people come in, and this is where a good agent comes in. And if someone comes in, they want the seller to fix everything. You need to talk with your buyers and say, you know what, that's just not happening in this day and age. And seller too, if they want everything, it's up to you to tell that seller, you've got to give a little too.
And that's the thing, is like, it's a give and take. What's the important parts to you in this inspection report, or what's important to you in this closing date, or other things? Because asking for $50 GFI, that's great, but let's not be stupid. Let's go in and let's talk about the big ticket items. Yeah, Mr. Seller, your AC is 21 years old and it is failing. Your roof is leaking. There's major problems here. Or roof's 15 years old. We know it's got 5 years left on it, and we're good. So it's funny when you talk to two different agents and then put it back on the market, and what's important to one is not important to the other.
Right.
And I appreciate your professionalism with the other agents, because I get a lot of contracts in on our listings. We list something, we've got 10 offers on it, whatever it is. And I will probably not hear from 8 of those agents. They're just going to email it. They never check to see if it got accepted, nothing. They're waiting for us to respond back. Like, we acknowledge the offer, but nobody calls and says, hey, when do you guys make a decision? I'm like, do you see the things pending? You never call to introduce yourself and say, I'm sending you an offer over.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to talk to the agent before I even submit an offer. Just to kind of get an idea of where their client is at. There's only so much that they're allowed to tell us, obviously, but and I appreciate that too. As a listing agent, I like it whenever they call me and they ask, what does my seller want? Because I know I'm going to get a better offer based on what my seller wants, instead of just, them, picking something, and it may not be what my seller wants. So I always try to see what the seller wants. That's going to help my clients know, and if we're all on the same page. And then I always try to write a little bio about my clients on each offer I submit. I try to write a little bit about them and, why they love the house so much and why we should be picked.
And that's good. It's like you're not the full-on buyer letter, but hey, it's just a little story about the buyers, and it's
like 2 sentences, 3 sentences max. No one has time for the whole letter anymore.
I've gotten 2 to 3 page buyer letters. I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
Who's going to read it? And we
I was going to say, did you have your transaction coordinator read it?
Well, I sent it to my VA to read it, and I don't know if she have fun reading that. If you want to read a story about it, some American up here.
Yeah.
The American family. So, Brandi, I really appreciate you jumping on. I mean, this has been great stuff. It's, how to succeed and sell. It is just, I think the things I've learned is educate. The more you can educate, the more you can learn, and be around top producing agents, because they're going to give you the right information, and just be a fly on the wall to hear those conversations. We were in Tampa yesterday, and Andres comes up to Anthony and I, and we're talking. He goes, "Hey guys, I need some quick advice." And we're both 15 to 20 years in the business. And he's like, "What do I do with this? There's 7 sellers and one of them won't sign, and we want to get this thing closed. Can we just do hey, the majority rules?" And we're both like, "Can't do anything." And but they've got schizophrenia. I'm like, "Well, then go to court." There's nothing you can do about it. But he's standing there listening to us and giving us a scenario of what would have happened or what we could have done. So be that fly on the wall in the office or at events. Don't hang around your new agents. Go and find other people who've been in it for a while and learn from them and introduce yourself, because they can be a resource for you at some point during your career. So appreciate you jumping on today. We've a little bit over on time, but I mean, it's all great content, and I'll drop you the YouTube link later so you can share this as well. Guys, tune in next week. We've got some more good stuff coming for you for the New Agent Success Series, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. Brandi, thank you again for tuning in, or not tuning in, for being a guest today.
Thanks so much, Todd. It was a pleasure. Trust me.
Yeah, awesome. All right, let's get that.